You know, in the long history of database technology, some innovations are loud and get all the attention, but others just quietly show up and change absolutely everything. Well, this is the story of one of those quiet revolutions. This is about PL SQL, Oracle's secret weapon, and how it turned the simple database into a powerhouse.
So, to really get why this was such a huge deal, we've got to rewind the clock. Let's go back to the late 1980s. SQL was already king, right? It was the language for talking to databases. You could grab data, add new data, update it, but there's this giant, glaring hole in what it could do.
And that hole was pretty fundamental. See, standard SQL was amazing for manipulating data, but it just wasn't a full programming language. Not even close. So when you needed to build real, complex business applications, you'd pretty quickly hit a massive wall.
I mean, we're talking about the absolute basics of programming here. Standard SQL didn't really have things like variables for holding temporary info, or loops to do something over and over, or even simple conditional logic like, if this happens, then do that. It meant all that crucial business logic, it had to live outside the database in some separate application, which made everything slower and way less efficient.
Okay, so this is where Oracle steps in and does something, well, kind of brilliant. Instead of just making their database a little bit faster, they decided to tackle this core problem head-on with a totally radical idea. Their solution wasn't to just build a better tool to talk to the database from the outside. No, that would have been the easy way. Their truly game-changing answer was to put a complete programming language
Right inside the database itself. Just think about that for a second. Instead of having your application logic and your data living in two completely separate worlds, Oracle decided to just bring them together. And that was the moment PL SQL was born.
And this wasn't just some idea on a whiteboard. It became a reality in 1989 when Oracle Database version 6 was released. This was the moment that would really start to redefine what a database could actually be.
So, what did this language within a database actually look like? What could it do? Let's peel back the layers and look at the core features that made PL SQL such a powerhouse right from day one.
First up, you've got stored procedures. The best way to think of these is like little self-contained programs that live right inside the database. So instead of developers writing the same logic again and again in 20 different apps, they could write it once, stored in the database, and then any application could just call it. This was a massive, massive win for speed and for keeping your data consistent.
And then you have triggers. These are, well, they're like the database's own automated reflexes. A trigger is a chunk of code that just runs automatically whenever something specific happens. Say, when a new customer record is inserted or an old one is deleted. It meant the database could enforce its own complex rules all by itself without an application telling it to.
The next big step came with Oracle 7, which gave us packages. See, as people started writing more and more of this PL/SQL code, things could get, well, messy. Packages fix that. They let developers bundle up all their related procedures and functions into one neat, tiny unit. It basically brought modern software engineering principles right into the database world.
But Oracle wasn't just going to release this and call it a day. No way. PL/SQL wasn't some static thing. It was a living language that kept evolving and getting more and more powerful with every big new release of the database.
You can see the whole journey right here. It starts back in '89, just getting that core programming logic into SQL. Then Oracle 7 adds packages for better organization. But then came the really big leap with Oracle 8i. They integrated PL/SQL with Java. This was huge. Suddenly, the entire global community of enterprise Java developers could tap into the power of the Oracle database, which pretty much cemented its spot at the heart of big business for decades.
So after all that evolution, what's the big picture? What was the lasting impact of all this? How did PL/SQL really change the game and give Oracle such a commanding lead?
Honestly, the transformation was night and day. Before PL/SQL, a database was basically a passive filing cabinet. All the intelligence, all the rules, they lived somewhere else. But after PL/SQL, the database became a truly programmable platform, an active participant that could run its own logic, enforce its own rules, and guarantee data integrity right at the source.
And this wasn't just some cool technical feature, right? This gave Oracle a massive strategic advantage. It meant huge companies could put their most important business rules in one secure, high-performance place. It became a key reason to choose Oracle over everybody else. And the really wild part is that this technology, from all the way back in 1989, is still the powerhouse behind countless critical applications running the world today. So, when you boil it all down, you're left with this one simple truth. PLSQL was never just some add-on for SQL. It was Oracle's secret weapon. It was the innovation that turned the database from a simple box that holds data into the intelligent heart of enterprise software.